Welcome everyone. My name is Victoria Pavlova and I'll be the facilitator of this session today. We can first start with the coach's introduction, and I'm pleased to give the floor to Alexandre.
Hi, nice to meet you, nice to hear you again. My name is Alex Gali. I'm come from Akbar, the Veolia Group. I'm leading the scouting and technology watch area. I'm very happy to listen to these amazing companies and my advice is try to focus on market and business models point of view and not leave a lot of time in technical aspects, because at the end you have to convince the jury and the investment. That's all for me. Thank you very much, Victoria.
Thank you for
Only thing, it's clear, it's clear.
Thank you for the introduction. Next, I would like to invite Christoph.
Hello, Victoria. Hello, everyone. So I'm Christophe Baudin, founder and director of CBO Consulting. So we are a strategy consultancy boutique based in Brussels, in Belgium. So what we do, we help startup and scale up to grow and develop through public funding, so European funding and some national scheme as well, and private funding as well, so investors and banks in some cases. So we are more focused on digital companies, but we have a large range of companies also in the field of energy, of water tech. I'm personally a coach and mentor in the Blue Invest program of the Commission, and food tech recently. So we had the companies successfully achieving the EIC accelerator and Eurostars. Thank you very much. Very happy to be with you today.
Thank you. Now I would like to invite Sarah for a short introduction.
Hey everyone, happy to be here. My name is Sarah. I'm with the Export and Investment Fund of Denmark, which is a large governmental investment fund. We focus investments in climate, environment, natural resources, and biosolutions, or other planet-positary areas. And we have quite a broad ticket size, ranging from 1 million euros all the way to 50 million euros. Just had to translate from Danish into euros there for a sec. Good to have you all here, and I'm curious to hear your pitches.
Thank you, Sarah. Now I would like to invite Richard.
Thanks very much, Victoria. Yeah, my name's Richard Clark. I'm the finance director of a company called Power Photonic Limited, which is a UK-based manufacturer of freeform optics, micro-optics for lasers. It was originally a spin-out from Heriot-Watt University in Scotland. I'm a qualified accountant with an MBA, and I've spent most of my career in early-stage technology companies in a variety of sectors, including photonics, electronics, semiconductors, instrumentation, and advanced materials, and actually floated a nanomaterials company on the UK Stock Exchange back in 2005. I've been a coach and a jury member with Tech12 for now about 5 years, and this will be my second water tech event. I'm looking forward to the presentations, and I will be focusing more on the commercial and business aspects of the presentations. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I would like to give the floor to Florian.
Thank you, Victoria. My name is Florian Stöger. I'm based out of Frankfurt, Germany, originally from Vienna. I'm with Raymond James. It's a S&P 500 global investment bank specialized on mergers and acquisitions. I'm part of the global water team, responsible for the European water market coverage. I'm doing investment banking M&A now for over 15 years. Prior to that, I was with Deloitte, specialist on financial modeling and valuation services. And before that, I had a completely different career path. I was professional judo fighter. But that is a long time ago. Now I'm fighting in investment banking M&A, and delighted to help you guys improving your presentations.
Thank you. Now I would like to invite Bruno.
Sure. Thanks, Victoria. Hey, everybody. My name is Bruno, based out of Munich in Germany. I'm one of the 5 co-founders and 3 managing partners of SEF Ventures, which is a newly established venture capital firm currently raising its first fund, mainly targeting hardware solutions in the areas of bioeconomy, circular economy, which includes circular water and green energy, some enabling technologies. And I've been for 8-9 years or so, and like Richard said, it's also my second Tech to Water event, and I have to make one disclaimer. I need to talk a little bit less today since I mostly lost my voice, but I make sure at least to give some comments, maybe also by written in the chat.
Thank you. Thank you, Bruno, and well noted. Hopefully that you recover soon. So last but not least, Yanni. We don't hear you. No, I cannot hear you.
It's not there.
Yeah, maybe something in your audio settings here in Zoom. Maybe if you click on the microphone settings here in Zoom, you can select which microphone you use. Not working.
Does it work now?
Now, yes.
Good. Sorry for the inconvenience. We have technical problems today. I guess we couldn't get, so you need to remember that Joren Thielmann is also in the room because we had issues going out into the breakout sessions, just for your information, Victoria. So my name is Jenny Tusgaard. I work for the Danish membership organization called Water Valley Denmark. We're based in Aarhus in Denmark, and I'm head of business innovation and acceleration. So I try to support water tech startups on their journey, and I have a particular focus on commercial aspects and have for 10 years worked with business development and spin out companies and so forth for utility companies in Denmark, water utilities, and in the water sector in general. So looking forward to the session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to all the coaches who joined us today and for their introductions. And now we can continue with
sorry. We need to have Joren Thielmann introduce himself. We had issues going into the breakout rooms. So he was joining our session, and I don't think he's on the overview.
Maybe he's in another session, or...
Oh, he is here. I can see him.
Okay. Apologies. Jeroen, you're welcome.
Yeah. No problem. My name is Jeroen Thielmann. I'm founder and CEO of Keystone Capital. I have 35 years of experience in innovation in finance. Keystone Capital is focusing on water treatment, connecting innovative technologies with projects, mainly in the textile sector in India and Bangladesh, as well as finance. So in connecting these 3, we're developing business cases for innovative technologies for them to scale up. We have a small team. Besides this, I'm active as a non-executive director with the hedge fund in Hong Kong. I'm also an investor and developing a fund in blockchain technology. That's it.
Thank you also for joining us today. And now I would like to continue with our first presenter, who is Peter from Fleet Alps. Just a kind reminder that first we'll start with the elevator pitch, which is 1 minute. I will now stop sharing my screen. You don't need any slides for this elevator pitch, Peter, and you can start whenever you're ready. Then we'll have 2 minutes for feedback by the coaches and continue with your pitch.
Okay, hi everyone, can you hear me?
Yes.
Very good, let's start. My name is Peter Larsen, I'm the CEO of Fleet, and I would like to tell you how water utilities can contribute to the green transition by unlocking the flexibility of their power assets. Unconscious overconsumption of electricity is a thing of the past. In today's world, and particularly in Europe and Northwestern Europe, the penetration of renewables has created an electricity system with a lot of volatility and variability. And all power consumers should contribute to stabilizing this situation, and the water utility sector is uniquely placed to be able to do that. So first of all, what you can do by collaborating with Fleet is to contribute to the green transition. You can also optimize the efficiency of your power assets with our high frequency data solution, and you can generate extra revenue by providing ancillary grid services to the electricity markets. And why is this a good thing for the water utility sector? First of all, there's a very strong focus on sustainability and social responsibility. There are large power assets, often of 1 megawatt or larger, and the operational processes are rather slowed compared to on the scale of hours and minutes compared to the processes needed for grid stabilization, which are on the orders of seconds. There are very promising use cases around pumps, around aerators in wastewater treatment, and backup power supply, which can be supplemented with batteries, for example. We work with you in a very simple way, where first of all, we connect to your asset with our gateway technology called FlexGate. We explore the potential of your assets together with you, and then we turn into an optimization mode where we can run the optimization of your assets on a 24/7 basis. We offer a 100% transparent business model based on a subscription with shared incentives. And yes, so in Fleet, we are delighted to help you unlock the flexibility of your power assets. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Just for your information, your pitch was 2 minutes and 35 seconds, and it should be 1 minute.
Sorry about that.
Live event. Thank you. And now I open the floor for coaches to also share their feedback to you. Who would like to go first? You can directly raise your hand or mute yourself. I see that Richard already shared his comment. Would you like to elaborate?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Victoria. Yeah, too much detail, really. And as Victoria's pointed out, twice as long as it should be. You need to be a lot crisper. This isn't a presentation. This is a teaser. This is to get people really interested. And the other thing is that you talk a lot about the green transition, but what you're trying to do here is to develop or get interest in a business that is going to generate a financial return. I would suggest you focus very much on the cost savings and the benefits to the customer, rather than the more general comments about the green transition. And that's my comments.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next feedback is coming from Florian.
Okay, well, my comments are the following. I lack the passion. So if you start a new company, start a new activity, it's also important, especially with the elevator pitch, to feel the passion. Why are you doing this? Amongst others that need to be motivated. What are the benefits for your customers, and what is the scalability? That's all, as far as I'm concerned, you need to include in your elevator pitch.
Thank you.
Thank you. Florian, would you like to go next?
Very happy to. Thank you, Victoria. I think it was I got a good sense of what the pain is for the customer, but not so much of what is the gain. So being more precise on this is the issue. I understand it's the energy optimization and how you can contribute on that, and what is the gain for the customer by a solution. I think that can be a very short, very crisp, which I think can be a very attractive opportunity for investors.
Thank you. Sarah?
Thank you.
Yeah, a little long pitch as well, but I think it's nice that you don't talk really fast. It makes it easier to understand each of the sentences you make. So keep that up, but cut down on the amount that you put in there, the amount of details. then if you could, in a one-liner, put your traction, maybe the number of customers or something that you have helped create, that'd be good. And also, if you have time for it, the ask. Now we're fundraising around 2 million euros, something.
Thank you. And I would like to give the word now to Yanni.
Yes, please. I think there's been very good comments, and also put a comment of mine in the chat just for the record. I think the whole user case is quite important, but can you quantify it? The customer saves so much by using your technology, or you contribute to grid security for the individual customer, not the overall. So how do you make the difference there? I think that would be a good opening point.
Thank you, Yanni.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So now I would like to invite you, Peter, to share your presentation and continue with the pitch. We will have 7 minutes this time. And just a kind reminder to you and to all the other presenters, we're recording this session, but in case you don't want to be recorded, please write in the chat and I will post the recording.
That's perfectly fine to record it. Let me just share. Can you see the slides?
Yes. Could you please
Yes.
make them? Yeah,
Good.
perfect.
Yes, thank you. My name is Peter Larsen from the company Flit, and we're here to help you unlock the flexibility of your power assets. Why should you unlock the flexibility of your power assets? Well, first of all, it's a way to contribute to the green transition by stabilizing the electricity grid. With the oncoming expansion of renewable generation capacity, the electricity grid will need more and more stabilization from the consumption side. Also, we can help you improve the efficiency of your assets with high frequency data, and we can help you generate new revenue streams by connecting to the electricity markets through ancillary services. And water utilities have the potential to unlock the flexibility of their power assets. And why is that? Well, first of all, they have a very strong commitment to sustainability and social responsibility, which also includes the green transition and the electricity grid. It is a large power consumer with many assets with consumption of 100 kilowatts up to 1 megawatt or even more. And the operational processes in water utilities are relatively slow compared to what you need to stabilize the electricity grid, so you can actually separate those processes. And how does Fleet's technology work? Well, it's quite simple. It's 3 steps. First of all, we connect to your assets with our gateway technology. This gateway can connect to old assets, it can connect to new assets, so it's very flexible. Once we've connected, we can explore the potential of your assets with high frequency data that we can sample directly from them. And once we've identified the assets that have the potential to be optimized for revenue and efficiency, we can put them online and quickly start generating revenue for you. So let me talk you through a few use cases. With one client, we've actually gone through all of these. We started out looking at their pumps and identified that they had a great potential to optimize the flexibility. And we also identified that some of this flexibility could be made available to the market. Then the client was interested in looking at their backup power supply. We ran a project with them where we replaced their dirty diesel generators with batteries, and we let those batteries provide ancillary services to the power grid. Finally, we moved into a crucial area in water utilities wastewater treatment, where the largest power consumption comes from aerators, and we are currently looking in and exploring the potential of using the aerators also for these fast frequency grid services. Finally, when it comes to the way we interact with the client, we have quite a very transparent and simple model. We identify the potential revenue or savings that you can generate. We want to have a shared incentive with the client, so we base our revenue on a percentage of the savings that we generate for the client. We always offer a free installation and training of our gateway technology. We include in-depth exploration and analysis, and we provide continuous data insights as well as 24/7 contact to our support team. So in summary, it's quite simple. You can connect your power assets with our FlexGate technology. You can contribute to the green transition by stabilizing the energy grid. And what's in it for you is that you can generate new revenue in a very transparent subscription model. If you're interested in hearing more, you're more than welcome to get in touch with me, the CEO of Fleet, or our Chief Scientific Officer, Tomislav Dragicevic. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Peter. Just for your information, your presentation was 4 minutes and 45 seconds, and you have 7 minutes for the
But then
presentation.
the total added up to around 10 minutes, right? Or 8 minutes.
Okay, thank you. I will now give first
Sorry about that. I'll work on the timing.
No worries. Now I'll give the floor first to Richard again, as he already shared his comments.
Okay, thanks, Victoria. Yeah, just a couple of small points to start with. I would reverse the order of the points on slides 2 and 3. As I mentioned with your elevator pitch, the contribution to the green transition is great, but that's not what's going to interest potential customers. So I would start with generating value streams and then put the green transition at the end of the slide. So your first point is the marketing and sales point. It's not all that clear how inefficient the current asset management is within the utilities. And therefore it makes it very difficult to gauge the scale of the opportunity for each customer. I mean, if on average you find that utilities are wasting, I don't know, or losing 20% of their electricity, whatever, then that gives us more of a view as to what the size of the opportunity is with each of your customers. But that doesn't come across, I'm afraid. And then the other big thing that's missing from my perspective is any comment on competition and who else is working in this area. What alternative technologies or approaches are being adopted. So yeah, those are my comments.
Would you include that in? Yeah, obviously you would. Yeah, I was partly thinking of this as a client pitch and an investor pitch, and the topic around competition, I think, is very suitable for an investor pitch, but not so much for a client pitch.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's investors you're talking to here. Yeah.
Thank you for your comments, Richard.
Okay.
Very useful.
Thank you. Now I would like to invite Jeroen to elaborate on his feedback.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. Well, to be honest and clear, I find it too superficial. You have on the slide of client uses, what I really miss is how much clients could save or benefit economically by using your technology. I think it's quite critical. Also, so I think in general, it is too superficial in the business case. And I cannot, for me, it's not clear what makes your technology quite unique. So I would suggest that these 2 points, so what is the business case for you and for your client? and what is unique about your technology that you would include that in your presentation?
Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'd like to invite Christoph for his feedback.
Yeah, thank you very much. Something I like about the presentation is that it's very clean, so it's nice slides. So I think in the content is nicely presented. But I think you raised the point. So the point is that for the moment you did a presentation like if you were showing the technology, not speaking to investors. So there's a part missing, and so I would add my voice on really working on the business case, especially explaining, of course, the value proposition in the market, and then going to the financial data as well, and the ask. So I think this should be at least 50% of the presentation, if not more. Another point is, I think at the beginning, the entry is a bit abrupt. So I think we will need a diagram showing what you mean by power assets for water tech companies. That would make it more concrete, I think, before entering into the discussion about what you bring as a value with your technology. Yeah.
Thank you, Christoph.
Thank you. Now I would like to give the word to Alex.
Hi, Peter. I agree with my colleagues in some of the aspects, but there are some things to improve. It's clear that with 8 slides it's correct. I don't put so much. For me, a photograph or showing more in details what the device it would helps, or the infrastructure. But for me, the more I miss it is the target market. Where can this be improved? In all the wastewater, in all the water plants, in all the pipe. I think it's important to focus on that, because you have to, some of the colleagues have said, you have to put on the place that who is listing you and who is going to invest you if you want in that case. So I think it's important, the target market, to give an idea of the amounts of business that could be after that. That's all, Victoria.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'd like to invite Yanni to share her feedback.
Jaspreet, thank you for a good presentation. I especially like the illustration you had with the 1, 2, 3, because it made it easy to understand how your technology with the gateway and so forth, what system it is in, right? Then I would like you to spend more time on the technology merits. So why, and that's important for customers as well, not just for investors. So how do you differ? Why is your technology unique? What can you do for the customers? What is their situation now? And why do they need you to help them? You mentioned flexibility, that flexibility is important, but why is it important? And how do you make that difference for the customers? And can you quantify that difference? It's not just, it's revenue streams, but it's also security in terms of energy supply, right? As I understand it. So issues like that, I would focus much more on. And then I would also encourage you to highlight the management team or the team behind your unique merits. Why are you a good provider of this solution? Because customers and investors will be looking at that as well. So that was my feedback.
Thank you. Now I would like to invite Florian.
Thank you, Victoria. Peter, first of all, thank you so much for your presentation. And I want to give also some good feedback, because I think the audience here is very critical, which is the intention to be, but it should not discourage you, because you have done a very good job.
Please take the gloves off. That's why we're here.
But first of all, you have done a few things very well, starting with explaining the business model very precise and clearly, which I think is very important to understand where the revenue streams are coming from. Especially on that point, I'm not so sure I understand why a subscription model is required, because once you have identified the inefficiencies and solved it, why would a customer continue to pay you? I think that point is a little bit missing, despite all the other things that my colleagues have already mentioned. I also think it would be helpful to have some page numbers on the various pages so we can keep track on which page can be improved. And then to have a little bit more general structure. You are a company based here, that size. You are a digital SaaS revenue provider in the water, blah, 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 right? I mean, hit the audience first, what you're providing, and then dive deeper and deeper. And because the first few seconds, obviously, you will get the attention from the audience. The more you go into the depth of the various buckets, the more you will lose the people. That's my feedback. Thank you.
Super useful. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you. Bruno also has shared his feedback here in the chat. I'm not sure if Bruno wants to elaborate.
Yeah, quickly. I mean, not repeating what has been said and also far from criticizing the presentation. I just want to highlight one point, Peter. I mean, the water market is a rather conservative market and it's not easy to sell to. So generally, I really tend to learn more about the details on where do you see your prioritized use cases, your customer segments. Yeah? Is it the public sector, is it the private sector, in the industry? What is it really? And then also, how does this translate in your business planning, in the business model, and also the related resources that you really need to test those applications. That's always something I'm looking very much into, in particular in such a, what to say, in the conservative sector, such as the water industry.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have 2 more minutes for feedback if there are any further questions or comments from coach's side.
If I can ask Peter for direct feedback. So what is your secret sauce?
Our secret sauce is the combination of the gateway technology and the market access. So with the gateway technology, we can connect to both old and modern assets, which other flexibility providers cannot. Typically, you access or you connect with the assets that are relatively, you could say, a level far away from where you can control them. So you have some time delay in the way you control them, and we can connect directly to the controller units of the assets and control them at a high frequency. That allows also for other benefits as anything you could say that you can do with high frequency data that we can sample directly from the assets. So that combined with the ability to put the assets on the market for grid services sets us apart from the rest.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much to all the coaches and to you, Peter, for participating. You will receive via email all the comments that were shared here in the chat, as well as the recording. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone, for your honest feedback, and this is really useful. I'm looking forward to improving the presentation and the pitch. Thanks very much.
Thank you. As our second presenter, Alexander, is missing now, I will continue with Jonathan from Redberry. Jonathan, I will now pause the recording, resume the recording, and I would like to invite our last presenter for today, Ali Reza.
Hi there, good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We'll start with the elevator pitch first. So you have 1 minute for the elevator pitch. It's with no slides, so whenever you're ready, you can start.
Sure. Thank you very much, Victoria. My name is Ali, and I'm the founder at Waterwell, a company that is reinventing water supply. We have developed a game-changing patented technology for desalination and water reuse with the lowest ever rate of electricity consumption and CO2 emissions. Waterwell's technology is an alternative to reverse osmosis, and in comparison, it reduces electricity consumption of water reuse and desalination by up to 80% and capex by up to 35%, whilst reducing CO2 emissions by 79%. These savings have been demonstrated through our pilot plant at Veolia's site in Edinburgh, UK. We have a team of 8 people with over 150 years of industrial and academic experience. We have global ambitions to deploy our breakthrough technology for desalination and water reuse. Waterwell is currently transitioning to a revenue-generating startup with our first commercial plant currently being built, resulting in an annual recurring revenue of 80,000 euros. We are also developing a paid demonstration plant with SWCC in Saudi Arabia for desalination purposes. We will be raising 3 million euros later this year £3 million later this year to enable accelerated commercial growth of Waterwell. Thank you.
Thank you. Just for your information, it was 1 minute and 41 seconds, so it should be 1 minute for the actual pitching. And now I open the floor for feedback by the coaches. Who would like to go first?
Maybe to go first. So I think the speed of the presentation was good. It was easy to follow. I was a little bit overwhelmed by the various statistics in this first presentation. I think the statistics are important, but maybe worth sharing in the longer presentation. Besides that, you made your points very clear that this is unique and there are a lot of benefits to the customers. So I think it was a very good presentation. That's my only comment, a little bit less on the statistics in the first one.
Thank you. Who would like to go next?
I can follow up shortly. I think with the statistics, I actually like that there's numbers, but maybe just pick 2 key numbers that you're throwing out there, and then that's what's going to stick with people. And I also like that you got through some traction by saying what plants that you've actually done. Yeah, I think that was a pretty good way of showing how far you've actually come. Maybe with the plans you can add how many customers you have, because that gets a little bit lost in translation. But since you don't have a lot of time, decide whether you want to spend that or take it or leave it.
Sure. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. Is there any more feedback?
Yes, I just want to say that I like the opening very much. So you were clear and precise, and you said you're reinventing water supply, and then you elaborated on it. And that type of headlines, I think you should continue to do. And then a bit of support information, but it gets too detailed, or it got too detailed at the end and I lost track. So more of a headline approach, and you back it up with a few words, but nothing more.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have time for one more feedback if there's any.
I agree with the comments that have been made, that have already been made. I think they're absolutely right. I think you come across perhaps a little bit deadpan. I mean, if you could be a bit more enthusiastic and smile a bit more, I think that would help.
I'm particularly grumpy today, Richard. No, I'm joking. Yes, absolutely, definitely.
Okay, yeah, that's great.
Thank you all. So now we continue with the investor pitch. You're welcome to share your slides.
Yeah, so if I share my screen. There we go. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, yeah, perfect.
Excellent, brilliant. Thank you very much. My name is Ali, and I am the founder at Waterworld. Waterworld has developed a technology that achieves the world's lowest ever rate of electricity consumption and CO2 emissions for desalination and water reuse. This is the evolution of desalination. Back in 1961, John F. Kennedy said that if we could ever competitively, at a cheap rate, get fresh water from salt water, that would dwarf any other scientific accomplishments. The key word here is at a cheap rate. As you can see, following an initiative by the same administration in the US, reverse osmosis was developed for desalination purposes. However, the electricity consumption has been reducing over the decades, but over the past almost 2 decades now, it's been stagnating at around the lowest rates of around 2.5 kilowatt-hour per cubic meter of desalinated water. That's because we've got very close to the thermodynamic limit of a reverse osmosis. So that's as good as reverse osmosis is ever going to get. However, as you can see on this graph on the right-hand side, Waterworld can reduce the minimum electricity consumption of desalination by 80% and reduce that to 0.3 kilowatt-hour per cubic meter of desalinated water. Now, why is that important? Well, it's important because between 30% and 50% of the cost in desalination for desalinated water is attributed to electricity consumption. And above 80% of that, as you can see on the left-hand side, is to generate high pressure through high-pressure pumps. So what does Waterworld do? Waterworld enables desalination to be done at low pressure. So we go from a high-pressure process in reverse osmosis, which has high electricity consumption and high capex, to a low-pressure process driven by waste heat, industrial waste heat, or solar thermal energy, and thereby enable an 80% reduction in electricity consumption and 35% in capex as we scale up. But just like reverse osmosis, this is a modular and scalable technology, but it also enables a 79% reduction in CO2 emissions associated with water reuse and desalination. This is how it works, as you can hopefully see on this video. The way it works, it uses a semi-permeable membrane, but it doesn't use a pressure driving force. It uses an osmotic driving force. So the green stuff you can see on this diagram, effectively that creates an intermediary solution that has a very high osmotic pressure. Instead of having to push water through the membrane, we're able to pull the water through the membrane at low pressure. Pressure is below 5 bar. And that's where the 80% electricity consumption comes from. On the right-hand side, as you can see, that is our pilot plant that was launched back in 2021 on Veolia's site. The key USP of this technology is that it achieves the lowest ever rate of electricity consumption for desalination and water reuse compared to existing conventional technologies and also new technologies in the market. This is, as you know, desalination is an exponentially growing market. It's predicted to be worth $39 billion in 2028. And as you can see on the right-hand side, is dominated by reverse osmosis and growing. That percentage is also growing year by year. In terms of our commercial traction, so as I said, this is used for water reuse and desalination. So for water reuse, we are building our first commercial plant, which will be producing 50 cubic meter per day of potable water for industrial purposes by treating effluent from a wastewater treatment site operated by Veolia. that would generate somewhere between 65 and 70,000 pounds in annual recurring revenue for Waterwell. It will reduce the site's CO2 emission by 382 tons per year. And this is replicable across 170 sites in the UK and over 2,800 in Europe. The other application, desalination, we're building a 25 cubic day desalinated seawater demonstration plant with SWCC, who are the world's largest desalination company. And that will generate us £250,000 in one-off revenue, and hopefully upon successful delivery of this project, it will allow us to scale up in Saudi Arabia and the Middle East for using industrial waste heat and solar thermal energy to produce industrial water for manufacturing and green hydrogen production and power supply. This is our team of 8 full-time members of staff. We will have a 9th person joining us in June, and we are supported by a very experienced and well-connected group of advisors. Waterwell has received many awards, and we've raised over £3 million so far in investment and grant. Waterwell has been awarded as one of the 10 winners of the Ofwat Discovery Challenge. Ofwat is the water regulator in the UK, and that's 10 projects funded over 240 applications. We were also previously on TechX Clean Energy Accelerator, one of 12 startups out of over 200 applications. And in 2021, we were awarded as the top science engineering startup in Scotland. We are raising £3 million for developing further plants, which we have identified with other UK water companies. We're also working further on product development. Our second family of patents went to registration, with the first one being awarded last year. And we're looking to expand the team, as mentioned on here as well. And thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much. You're just right on time. Now I open the floor for feedback by the coaches. I see that we already have feedback from Bruno.
Thanks, Ali. Maybe not a feedback, but a question. So what are your key pain points at the moment? What are the real challenges ahead of scaling this hardware solution into a viable product?
Sure. Thank you very much, Bruno. The main challenge is obviously for us, just like most other startups active in the water sector, is accelerated uptake of the technology in the industry. The long sales cycle, is a well-known problem in the water industry, and we are no exception in that regard. So that's the main issue at the moment. From an investment point of view, I guess there are a lot of sort of dead bodies in the way with forward osmosis. It's not got the greatest reputation, so you have to fight that as well, and show that this is very different to previous versions. So those are the key points, really.
Thank you. Now I would like to give the floor to Crystal.
Thank you very much. A very good presentation, very clear. Also, I think you should more detail about the competition. Give more detail about the competition. You mentioned the different kinds of technologies. So to what extent you've got competitors in aero and maybe in other technologies? Who are these guys? What are their strengths and weaknesses? And the second part is, how would you address the market? Because I can see you've got many different kinds of applications. So you mentioned water, but you mentioned also different other areas. And even for water only, Then there is a question of whether you want to address replacement or existing facilities, or you want to address new facilities, whether it will go for the industry, whether it will go for municipalities or other kinds of players. So I think these points could be enriching your presentation. And of course, the financial forecast, at least, you know, a graph typically hockey stick, you know, but we need to see at least what your targets are in the next 3-5 years, you know. Yeah, thank you very much in any case.
Thank you. That's great. Thank you very much. I've noted this.
Thank you. Next feedback is coming from Florian.
But on your business model, what I frequently see is a little bit the problem, especially from a valuation standpoint, when it comes to EPC versus service provider. So the more you talk about we are providing one plant, one treatment plant in Saudi Arabia, everyone says, hey, wait a minute, that's project business. This is a one-off. This requires bonding. 6 times EBITDA business. Stay away. Versus the picture you have shown in your presentation was more like a decentralized, mobilized water as a service provider.
Correct.
15 times plus company, right? So on the positioning, very careful if you're one way or the other.
Sure. No, that's a really good point. Just a quick follow-up on that, Florian. So our business model in the UK is water as a service. So we build plants and we effectively sell the products as a, you know, it's just water as a service model. This Saudi project is a demonstration of the technology, so it's not the industrial, it's not the final sort of commercial product, but we will be using the same model. But I take the point that we need to be clear on what the business model is for all these future commercial facilities.
So I can just tell you, we have sold and participated in auction processes where companies position themselves as I said, decentralized, mobile, water as a service provider with the lowest energy requirement due to a new technology. Boom. You had it.
Sure.
And you're not an EPC. That's important.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Thank you, Florian. That's really helpful.
Thank you. Now I would like to give the word to Yanni.
Yes, so picking up on that, I would, well, I like your presentation. You provided a bit too much details at some points, but it was okay. But you can balance it a bit. But picking up on what Florian said, I think a roadmap for how you get from pilot to as a service would be good to include or provide details on that. And what is your aim for that type of business, and what is the potential of that type of business, right? And then I've put in the comment, and I think I mentioned that previously when I reviewed the first review before this assessment committee, but what are the environmental impacts of your technology? Are there any risks or things that you need to consider? You should not put it indirectly, but I know competitors are highlighting that. So if you can mitigate environmental risk, I would highlight it at least, because I know some of your competitors is using that as a unique selling point, right? So that was just input.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Yes, definitely.
Thank you. Now I'd like to give the word to Leroy.
Yep. First of all, thank you for the presentation. I basically have 2 questions or comments. I understand that with RO, you need indeed to have a lot of electricity to build up the pressure for the RO to work. And you have an alternative where you are really dependent, if I remember the slide well, on either solar power or residual heat. Is the solar availability of the solar power and the residual heat, that is probably a key condition for your technology to be more economical than the RO alternative. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's pretty much the biggest constraint. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, then I think maybe at one point I would, an investor would typically like to understand a bit more about the workings of the technology. That went a bit fast, and I think that's a crucial thing to understand. So that's one remark. The other thing, if with desalination, besides electricity use or energy use, the major issue with desalination is the brine. So the high concentrate, you're left with separating the salts of the water. And the brine is normally basically led back into the sea with major environmental consequences, especially on the longer run. If you're talking about sustainability, it's good to talk about, saving CO2. But what do you do if you really want to have a sustainable solution? What do you do with the brine? Do you send it back into the sea, or do you treat it differently and avoid it to be a pollutant for the marine life?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, so the technology doesn't solve all the problems that are there to do with desalination. However, there are minimal liquid discharge or zero liquid discharge bolt-ons that can be made for desalination, and almost all of those work on the basis of thermal energy, so heat, effectively with crystallizers. Our technology allows you couldn't use the heat from a crystallizer in reverse osmosis, but you could use it in our technology. So it creates a much better complementary solution for zero liquid discharge. If you were to, target zero liquid discharge in your desalination project.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're currently working on a major project in Bangladesh for the textile sector. And one of the issues there is what to do with brine as well. So we also found a innovative technology to treat the brine economically and avoid the brine to, pollute the environment. So if you're interested, just let me know.
Sure, I've sent you a LinkedIn request. Perhaps we can take the conversation offline. Definitely.
Thank you. Now I would like to give the word to Sarah.
Yeah, great presentation. I have some more specifics on the slides and then a question for the customers. For the slides, a few of them were really nice and a few were really text heavy. For example, the technology comparison was quite text heavy, and if you don't have time to say it all, I think sometimes you can lose the audience with a very text heavy slide. So maybe pick some of the key metrics that you want to compare on the slide and then leave the rest out and leave it for questions or later conversations. For the video, it worked, but there's always a risk that it doesn't. So it could be a diagram would be easier, but do keep the colors because it made it easier to follow. But that's a minor point. Lastly, for customers, I think the Veolia example is really good. And especially because you then say that they have 150 or something sites that are similar. But it also made me question how many Veolias are there in the world? And where do you go after that? 150 customers doesn't sound like a venture case, if that's what we're looking for. So I think that's the right time to add a sentence on the other markets. Just to make sure that you catch that second thought that some people might have. Yep, that's it from here.
Thank you very much, Sarah. That's really helpful.
No worries.
Thank you. And now I would like to invite Richard to share his feedback as well.
Okay, thanks. I don't have a lot of points. I think it was a very good presentation. There's just a few things. Market size and growth data is always useful to put in. I mean, I know everybody knows that the desalination market is huge, but I think I would prefer to have seen the data and maybe not JFK. But that's just a personal preference. It was clear from what you said that the real issue with reverse osmosis is the cost, is the energy cost, and the fact that the system is a high pressure system. I'm just wondering whether, I mean, I'm not a technologist at all, but I'm just wondering whether there are other ways of reducing the pressure in the system, alternatives, and how defensible your IP is in terms of being able to really corner that alternative technology as an area that competitors couldn't break into or find a way of getting around. That would be my nervousness, would be around how defensible the technology is from other innovators with slightly different or alternative solutions to solving the problem. That would be my main concern, I think.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you very much, Richard. Yeah. I'll definitely bear that in mind. And yeah, there's just a very quick response on this. Yeah, so the reason it's the lowest ever rate of electricity consumption is literally because it's the lowest ever pressure required for doing calculation.
Yeah. So I
the
think
patent that's been granted in the UK.
Yeah, you may need to put a little bit more. I mean, you don't want to give away what your technology is. I mean, I know that and how robust your IP is. Certainly not in a forum like the one in ours, but I think it's something that maybe you need to be able to find some way of just giving a bit more, just to demonstrate how strong that IP structure actually is. And just as an aside, there's at least one other company that I know that will be in Aarhus talking about their options on dealing with brine issues. So I think it would be worth going there just to talk to them probably.
Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ali, and thank you very much to all the coaches, not only for sharing their feedback for this presentation, but also for joining us today. It was a pleasure moderating this session, and I would like to kindly ask you to go back to the main room by clicking on the blue button that it's leave room and then leave breakout room, so that my colleague Ina can share with you further details about the WIFE event of Tech Through Water Tech next month. Thank you very much once again.
Victoria, this
Yes.
is Jonathan. Will we get the transcription of the chat?
Yes.
Super. Thank you.
You're welcome.